Hello and welcome to Mabina TV. This is some of compassionate conservatism where we advocate for a fine balance as it spot between individual creative genius excellence as afforded by capitalism and society excellence as afforded by equality of opportunity. So in essence, you are calling for capitalism with a human first, that is capitalism with a human first. So now this is Africa perspectives, and in Africa perspectives, I'm asking which three leaders will have made Africa a superpower. That is, which three leaders will have made Africa a superpower. So, of course, I think to be a superpower, you need political power, economic power, and social cultural power. So, political power, I will give it to Kwame Nkrumah. Remember Kwame Nkrumah, the founding president of Ghana, who famously said that seeking first the political kingdom and everything else shall be added unto you. So, of course, for Kwame Nkrumah, he really had a vision for a united Africa. For instance, he was willing to delay the independence of Ghana, which got independence in 1957, until all the African countries got independence so that they could be united. So that was Kwame Nkrumah for you. He wanted for Africa to be one single entity. And I think that is how that is how I think he wanted a vision for Africa. But the young Nkrumah government was overthrown in a CIA-backed coup. That is, a young Nkrumah government was overthrown in a CIA-backed coup. So I think very much he was on a visit to China when that coup happened, and of course he came back and found he had no powers. Of course, that was a CIA-backed coup. I think CIA said it erred in removing Kwame Nkrumah, although some say he was bending into communist forces and wanted to align Africa towards the Soviet Union. So that's Kwame Nkrumah. And the Afro-Caribbean George Pardon had so much faith in Kwame Nkrumah that he thought he would be the one to liberate the black race. That is, George Padmore had so much faith in Kwame Nkrumah that he thought he would be the one to liberate the black race, but that did not happen. Of course, Africa unity now is in shambles. Of course, I don't think African presidents right now want anything to do with African unity, which will make them lose their little countries, their fiefdoms. And I think a lot of African presidents consider their countries as little fiefdoms where they rule with a free reign. So that's Kwame Nkrumah, political power. And then economic power, I will give it to Thomas Sankara. Thomas Sankara was basically came to power via coup. Of course, that was not good, but of course he instituted several great measures for Burkina Faso. He changed the name from the French colony of Upper Volta to the two largest tribes in Burkina Faso, that is Burkina and Faso. So that's Burkina Faso, and of course he removed Burkina Faso from the multilateral institutions from IMF and World Bank, and made Burkina Faso to be independent of itself. And I think as the sweltering heat in Ouagadougou, he ordered government workers to not use air conditioners so that they could feel the same heat that the other basically other Burkina Faso citizens were feeling. So that's Thomas Sankara for you. Of course, he rode in a motorcade of just 3 or 4 vehicles, and sometimes even used a bicycle. So that the austerity measures that Thomas Sankara had. The fact that there is no movie about Thomas Sankara, but there are tons of movies about Idi Amin, shows you just how much the good of Africa is downplayed, while the evil from Africa is amplified. So that's Thomas Sankara, basically, whom I would dedicate and say he had the economic vision for Africa in the right place. And if he would have been allowed to be maybe the Prime Minister of Africa, he would have instituted several measures that would have made him Africa progress. And not only that, he also championed for women's rights. I think there were so many women that were educated. There was a pharmacy and I think a health maternity clinic in every village in Burkina Faso. But of course, the young Thomas Sankara was assassinated, was killed, I think, by his friend and compatriot Blaise Compaoré, I think, under the orders of France. So that's Thomas Sankara, economic power. And then in socio-cultural power, I would give that to Steve Biko. Remember, Steve Biko was really an icon. He was an anti-apartheid icon. He died in 1974 after opposing the apartheid regime. So that is Steve Biko for you. He died in 1974 after opposing the apartheid. The apartheid of the whites in South Africa. So that's Steve Biko. Remember him famously for saying, I remember Steve Biko famously for saying that Africa should be black. Black people should be proud of their culture, of their ways of life, in what I would call a black consciousness movement. So there you have it. Of course, he was killed by the apartheid regime, and of course, he continues to inspire millions of Africans and black people across the world. So those are the three leaders I think could have made Africa superpower. That is Kwame Nkrumah, political power, Thomas Sankara, economic power, and Steve Biko, social cultural power. So you let me know if you agree with me on those three names. So once again, this has been Mabinda TV. And this is home of compassionate conservatism, where we advocate for a fine balance, a sweet spot between individual creative genius excellence as afforded by capitalism and society excellence as afforded by equality of opportunity. So in essence, we are calling for capitalism with a human first. That is capitalism with a human first.